She came to open her first bank account. With pride, with hope, believing that she would finally be taken seriously. But instead of respect, she got cold stares, sarcastic words, and a humiliation that the whole room could hear. It seemed like it couldn't get any worse. Until the bank doors opened, and the nightmare that no one expected began. And when it all went wrong, one man stood between chaos and justice. He was warned, asked not to get involved. But when a spit in the face crosses the line, Jason Statham doesn't back down. Now you're about to see what it means to be furious for a just cause. In this story, it's not about a screen hero. It's about a man who couldn't walk away. Translated with dpel.com free version. Sunlight streamed through the glass walls of the large bank. The line stretched along the marble floor, and the air was saturated with impatience. Among the customers stood Emily Dawson, a girl with Down syndrome, clutching a file folder tightly. Today was the big day. She had finally saved enough money to open her first account. Next, the teller named Brittany said tiredly, not even looking at the customer. Emily stepped forward. "Hello, I'd like to open an account," she said with a smile. Brittany glanced at the paperwork and rolled her eyes in annoyance. "You've made a mistake here. You can't do that. Come with someone who knows how to fill this out." "But I checked." "It's all right," Emily replied quietly. The cashier rudely pushed the papers back. "I said come with a guardian." Silence. A few customers began to turn around. Emily felt her ears redden. Her heart beat faster. "I'm responsible for myself." Her voice shook. "Let's not waste my time." Brittany cut her off and waved to the next customer. Emily couldn't believe what was happening. A feeling of helplessness swelled in her chest. But before she could say anything, next to her, someone pushed a chair back with a sharp creak. "Are you serious now?" came a low, cold voice. Brittany slowly looked up and turned pale. Jason Statham was standing in front of her. He seeked everything until a moment ago had been sitting in the corner, concentrating on filling out paperwork. But when he heard Brittany's tone and saw Emily go pale, something inside him snapped. He could have said nothing. He could have just walked away. But no. "Hey, buddy, stay out of this," Greg, the bank manager, mumbled as he stepped closer. Statham turned his head slowly. "Say that again." His voice was so quiet he could hear the threat in it. Greg swallowed. Jason took Emily's paperwork, ran his eyes over it, and said loudly, "Where's the mistake here?" Brittany fixed her hair nervously. "Well, she hesitated. "It's just that the bank requires additional checks." "Bullshit," Statham said. "If there was a businessman in a $10,000 suit sitting here, you'd open an account for him in a minute." He turned to Emily. "You want to open an account?" "Why, yes." "Then you'll open it. Now." Jason put the paperwork down in front of Brittany. "Draw it up." The woman flinched, but tried to keep her cool. "Sir, if you're not a customer, I'm going to have to ask you to." She didn't get a chance to finish. Guns in the hand are not always visible. There was a deafening scream. The bank doors flew open with a bang as 3 men in dark clothing rushed in. "Everybody, get down." "Weapons on the floor," roared one of them, waving a shotgun. Everything happened in seconds. Customers fell to the floor. Greg froze. Brittany shrieked. Emily went numb. Jason didn't even move. The robbers moved toward the cash register. One went straight for Brittany. "Get the money. Quickly." The woman's hands shook as she started to open the register. The ringleader, a stout man in a mask, looked around the room and stopped suddenly at Emily. "Why are you standing there?" He stepped closer. "Why don't you help us?" Emily didn't answer. The mugger smirked. "Or maybe you're too dumb to realize what's going on." Everyone held their breath. "Say that again," came Statham's low voice. The robber turned to him. "What?" "I said say it again." There was a tense silence in the room. The leader grinned. "What's up, hero? Sit down and don't yak until you." He didn't have time to finish. Jason moved faster than lightning. Don't stand in the way of someone who won't give up. In one motion, he grabbed the robber's arm, twisted it, and slammed it into the table. There was a crunch. The man howled. Panic. The second robber lunged for Jason, but Jason was already lunging forward, intercepting his blow. A loud crack as the robber's head met the cash register. Last man standing. He had time to point his gun, but Statham was faster. A sharp step, elbow under the breath. The gun falls to the floor. One hold, and the criminal is on his knees, gasping in pain. Silence. The end or the beginning. The police arrived 2 minutes later. Jason Statham stood in the center of the hall, holding his shoulder, had been hurt a little in the fight. He watched the cops handcuff the robbers. Brittany was still shaking. Greg couldn't get a word out. And Emily? She was holding a receipt. Your account is open, the cashier mumbled, suppressing a nervous spasm. Emily nodded slowly. She shifted her gaze to Jason. Thank you, she whispered. He grinned. You did it yourself. He turned to leave. Wait. Emily took a step forward. Why did you help me? Jason stopped. He looked up, and he said, because no one has the right to decide what you're capable of. Then he walked out of the bank, leaving behind a silence mixed with fear and respect. The end? No. This is just the beginning. The sirens have stopped. The police drove the robbers away. Emily sat on the bench outside the bank, clutching the receipt in her hand, proof that she had pulled it off. Her fingers were trembling, but her lips were smiled. This was a victory. Jason Statham stood a little farther back, watching the commotion. Officers were discussing reports. The bank manager was trying to regain control of the situation. It seemed like it was all over. But something was wrong. Statham could feel it in his skin. Experience told him it was too easy, too fast. These three are amateurs. Noisy, disorganized. A distraction? He looked at the ATMs in the corner of the hall and noticed a man in a suit talking on the phone. Too quiet. Too inconspicuous. Too clean for this chaos. Hey, Jason shouted, taking a step forward. The man looked at him and ran. Shit. Statham cursed and raced after him. The city's a maze, and he knows every turn. The streets roared with honking horns. The man darted between cars, bursting into an alley. Jason stalked after him, his breathing even, his gaze steely. Stop. But the man only sped up. They turned into an abandoned yard. Metal, concrete, the smell of rust and garbage. The man pulled out his gun, fired on the run. The bullet flew by, but Statham didn't even slow down. A jerk. A jump. Side cover behind a metal container. You think you can hide? Shouted hoarsely from the man being chased. No. I think I'm already behind you. Strike. Lightning fast. The man staggered. Jason intercepted the weapon, slamming him into the wall. Who the hell are you? What was that for? Statham elbowed him in the throat. This is above you. He exhaled, grinning through the pain. The bank account was the bait. The girl? Just a pawn. Jason's eyes narrowed. Why? You won't stop them? It's too late. They're already inside. Just counting? No. It was access to the entire system. Statham let go of the man and rushed back. His heart was pounding in his ears. If this wasn't just a robbery, what then? The bank. A mob. But something had changed. The monitors went out. The guards were lying on the floor, alive but unconscious. And that's when he saw her. Emily. Sitting at a terminal. A hacker interface in front of her. Her fingers were flying across the keyboard. Her face was pale, her eyes dilated. What are you doing? Jason exclaimed, running up. They made me, she whispered. These people, they said if I didn't log in. Tears glistened in her eyes. They would blow up the building. Statham's throat went dry. Time was shrinking into a blob. Calmly, he put a hand on her shoulder. Can you stop? If I interrupt the program, her voice trembled. They'll activate the bomb. Jason glanced at the screen. The hack was almost complete. Accounts, customer data, millions of dollars. Everything was in jeopardy. And then a voice came over the speakers. Cold. Electronic. Mr. Statham. Congratulations. You have intervened. Now the choice is yours. Save the money or save the people. Timer. 2 minutes. Make up your mind. No choice. Pause. An eternity of 2 minutes. Emily, listen to me. Jason leaned closer. Money isn't important. People are. Can you put the system on manual override? Yeah? Yes. But it's going to take time. We don't have time. Do it. They'll handle the rest. He stood up. He looked around. There's got to be a hotspot somewhere. Server room. Wiring. The explosives must be connected to the security system. He rushed to the tech entrance. Seconds. Knife blades in his back. Breath hitched. Fear? No. Focus. Determination. Through the corridors. The pounding of my own footsteps, like heartbeats. 30 seconds. The door is locked. I don't care. A kick. The hinges rattle. Inside, a traffic light of cables. Red. Blue. Yellow. Classic. But, booby trapped so that any wrong move, bang. Shit. Statham gritted his teeth. It's always red or blue, isn't it? What a movie. Time. 20 seconds. He closed his eyes. Intuition. A pulse. The click of a knife. If I don't guess, well, at least no one will get bored with my chatter, he muttered. Abruptly, cut the red one. 5 seconds. Silence. Nothing. He exhaled. Walking back to the main hall, he saw Emily, still at the terminal. She turned around, eyes wet. Did you do it? I think I did. He grinned. You did good. I couldn't have done it without you. There was silence on the speakers. And suddenly, Impressive, Mr. Statham, the voice said again. But the game's only just begun. The connection's gone. Letter? Or a warning? The police were interviewing witnesses. Greg refused to talk. Brittany sobbed in the corner. Emily stood next to Jason. Was it so complicated? She asked quietly. He looked up at her. There was weariness in his eyes, but also a steely fire. Because there are some people who think the world belongs to those with power. But sometimes, he turned to the horizon, they need to be reminded not to confuse kindness with weakness. He took a step away. Jason. Emily called out. Yes? Will you come back if they show up again? He grinned. I'd rather they didn't show up. And, walking off into the sunset of the bustling city, he knew that threat was not gone. It only lurked. To be continued. A week passed. The London street Jason was walking down was ordinary. The noise of cars, street musicians, the smell of fresh coffee. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. But ever since Head walked out of the bank that afternoon, the sense of danger hadn't left him. Peace of mind? Forget it. In his world, there was always someone lurking around the corner. The phone in his pocket vibrated. Statham, he answered briefly. Silence on the line. Only breathing. Who is it? Muffled laughter. Did you really think it was that simple? The voice. Familiar. It's the same one. From the bank. Jason's fingers clenched into a fist. If it's a threat, he began, you'd better come up with something new. A threat? No. It's an invitation. See that cab across the street? Jason turned around. A black cab stood with the door open. The driver wasn't looking at him, just smoking. Get in, the voice continued. Otherwise, remember that girl? Emily? Her day might not end so brightly today. Click. The call went dead. Cold. Without thinking, Jason crossed the street and jumped into a cab. Where to? The driver asked. You know, Statham said briefly. The car sped off. West? Or a game of survival? The cabin was filled with the smell of cheap cologne and old seats. Jason looked out the window, but tracked the driver in his reflection. He was holding himself strangely relaxed, too. Is this all about the money? Jason asked, breaking the silence. Money? The chauffeur grinned. You're funny. This is about principles. You stick your nose too much where it doesn't belong. If this is about the bank, I'm not sorry. It's not about the bank. It's about how people like you always think you can fix the world with your fists. But you know what? Some systems can't be broken. Jason looked straight ahead. Everything can be broken. It's just a matter of effort. The cab turned into an industrial zone. Empty warehouses, rusty containers. A dream for anyone who wanted to disappear without a trace. Car stopped. Come on out, hero. It's showtime. In the warehouse, the truth that shatters illusions. Darkness. Cold concrete underfoot. There's a chair in the middle of the warehouse. On it, Emily. Hands bound and gagged. Her eyes are scared. Shoo. Jason stepped forward. It's gonna be okay. A voice echoed from above. That's touching. It's like an A movie. Except I'm writing the ending here. The lamp above flared up. A man in a suit stood on an iron beam. Glasses. A discreet smile. He is the puppeteer. Who are you? Statham asked. Call me Martin. Or enemy, whatever you like. The point is, you interfered with a case worth millions. The girl hacked into our system faster than any pro. And now, you either watch her disappear or, he pulled out a tablet, pressed a button, and a timer popped up on the screen. 3 minutes, or you die trying to save her. The choice is yours, Jason. Pause. Statham smiled with the corner of his lips. My third choice is to smear your insolent face on the floor. Martin snorted. Bold, but stupid. And then, men emerged from the shadows. 6 of them. Armed. Prepared. Jason took off his jacket. Stretched his neck. So, it's a warm-up. A fight where every blow is a matter of life. The first opponent rushed forward. Mistake. Statham dodged an elbow to the temple, and he collapsed. The second man swung the rebar. Jason ducked, kicked, and his ribs crunched. The third grabbed the chain. The chain wrapped around Jason's forearm. A jerk. A blow to the throat. Another minus. 2 o'clock. Hurry up, guys. Martin shouted. The fourth pulled out a knife. A knife? Really? Statham intercepted his arm, broke his wrist, threw his opponent at the other two. 1 o'clock. The bomb is activating, Martin smirked. And you're still fighting. Jason, panting, glanced at Emily. She shook her head. Don't leave me. A gunshot. A bullet grazed his shoulder. The pain was sharp but familiar. Stop it, Martin shouted. Finish him. But too late. Jason sprang from his seat, grabbed the metal pipe. One swing, the enemy flew away. The second one knocked the other one's gun away. 0-20 he ran up to Emily, ripping the ropes. It's okay. Okay. Deep breaths. We're gonna make it. The timer. She whispered. I can see it. 0-10 where's the bomb? Container against the wall. Red flashing light. He rushed over there. Hands sticky with blood. Tore the lid off. Lots of wires. Blue. Green. Black. There's that game again. 0-05 shit. Don't think. Feel. He cut the green. Midnight silence. Then, relief. No explosion. No fire. Just heavy breathing. Last act. Martin disappeared. Only his voice remained in the memory. Emily hugged Jason. Thank you. I thought that was it. Me too, he exhaled. But, you know, death is bad company. I prefer coffee. She laughed through her tears. Is this one? Is he coming back? She asked. Jason looked into the darkness of the warehouse. Him? Yes. Men like him don't give up. But, he grinned. And neither do I. They stepped outside. The cold night air reminded them that they were alive. But somewhere out there, in the shadows of the city, Martin was already making a new plan. The game is not over. It's just warming up. 48 hours later. The rain poured down in a wall, turning the streets of London into reflective mirrors. Jason sat in his car, the engine idling. The headlights illuminated the empty alley. A cigarette smoldered in his fingers. He didn't smoke, kept it for habit. A reminder of the old days. The phone on the dashboard flashed. Number, unknown. Again. Well? He threw into the receiver. Greetings, Mr. Statham, came the same cold voice. Did you miss me? Jason gritted his teeth. Martin, I thought you'd be buried somewhere by now. Deep. Oh, I wish. But you know, you and I are on the same board. We're just playing with different pieces. If that's another philosophy, save it for someone else. Not today, Jason. See the building across the street? Jason turned his head. Old office. Windows smashed out. It's abandoned. But, the top floor was lit up. Come on up. We don't have much time. And if I don't go, then, the girl gets hurt. You like Emily, don't you? It's softer, but it's just colder. We both know you're not the type to turn away. Click. The bell cut off. Jason inhaled, exhaled. Shit, muttered and got out of the car. The cobwebs constricted. The stairs creaked under his footsteps. The smell of mold, the dampness, it was like something out of a cheap thriller. Jason kept his hand at his hip-aim knife hidden in his pocket. Gun? Left it in the car. Too noisy. He preferred, closer. The door on the top floor was ajar. A nudge of his foot, and he was in. Welcome, it sounded from the darkness. The lights came on. A large room. Screens on the walls. On them, cameras of the city. Every street. Every intersection. In the center is a table. On the desk is a timer. 30:00 and ticking down. And sitting next to it, him, Martin. Suit without a crease, glasses reflecting the light. Calm. Too calm. Sit down, he pointed to a chair. Jason remained standing. Where's Emily? Martin smiled. No rush. We've got forever. Or 30 minutes. Depends on your choice. Go ahead. Watch the screens, Jason. You see this? He pointed to the monitor. The street. A school. The kids are out for a walk. On the roof of a building. Something shiny. You're crazy, Statham snarled. No. I'm a realist. The question is simple. Are you gonna save them? Or Emily? The other screen came on. The basement. Emily is tied to a chair, eyes closed. Timer on the wall. 3 p.m. 2 choices. 2 timers. 1 chance. You want me to break? Jason stepped forward. Bad news, buddy. I'm not a quitter. Oh, that's what I hope, Martin grinned. Here is a map of the city. Both places are on opposite ends. You want make it to both. Make up your mind. People, or is it her? Time is against you. Jason stood, his brain frantically searching for a loophole. School. The kids. Emily. You're scum, he breathed out. I've heard worse, Martin shrugged. Time is running out, Jason. Every second is like the last beat of a heart. 2,000 hours on one timer. 10 o'clock on the other. Think. And then, an idea. Jason grabbed a chair, threw it at the screen. Glass, sparks, everything exploded in a rain of splinters. Well, Martin laughed. Anger won't save you. Anger? It's not anger. Jason leaped forward, knocking Martin to the ground. A punch to the jaw, blood. Another one, tooth comes out. Where's the remote control? He shouted. Too late. Martin wheezed. You. Lost. 9 o'clock, 4 o'clock, his heart pounded like a drum. Where's the exit? Where's the trap? Eyes. On the table. Under the lid is a laptop. He opened it quickly. The code. The scumbag mumbled. Password. What was he saying? We play on the same board. Chess master. Jason entered. Access granted. 2 options. Lock, deactivate the roof. Lock, deactivate the basement. Shit. 1 choice. He froze. Kids. Emily. I'm sorry. He whispered, pressing the basement. Letters. The school. There was an explosion, but not a big one. Just smoke. Was Martin bluffing? The basement. Jason broke in. Emily's, unharmed. Alive. Tears in her eyes. I thought that was it. She exhaled. Not today. He lifted her up in his arms. But it's not over. Martin is gone. His voice in Jason's headphones later. You chose the heart. Predictable. The next game will be no rules. Jason looked out over the city. The shadows were thickening. And this was just a warm-up. 12 hours later, the night was cold. Jason sat on the roof of an old building, looking out at the endless lights of the city. Under his feet was a cell phone, broken but working. Next to it was a bottle of water and a gun. Each breath sliced through his chest like a blade. Had chosen, and he still lost. The school was intact, but it was a test. Martin wasn't playing for money. He wanted to break it from the inside out. If you can hear this, Jason said quietly into the void, I will find you. And when I do, you're not going to like how this ends. The phone vibrated. Number, unknown. Again. He took the call. Go ahead. Tired, Jason? Martin's voice was as calm as a man reading a bedtime story. And it was just beginning. Stop playing. Statham's voice became steely. You want me? Come here. One-on-one. No tricks. Laughter on the other end. Oh, this isn't about the two of us anymore. See that helicopter in the sky? Jason looked up. That's right. The red beacon light was flashing over the rooftops. The helicopter was hovering just above the center square. There, Martin continued. A bomb. A real bomb. 3 minutes and the whole center of London goes to hell. You want to play the hero, Jason? Run. I'm watching. Enjoying it. The call went dead. Time. 3 o'clock. He wasn't thinking. He was flying. From the stairs, a jump down. Painful. Whatever. Ran down the street, crashing into passers-by, car horns blending into a cacophony. Get back. I'll get off. He shouted, bursting towards the square. 2:15. The helicopter was already over the fountain. The people in the square froze in panic. Get out. Jason shoved with his shoulders, pushing the crowd away. Underneath the fountain, something shimmered. There it was. The bomb. The display lit up in scarlet. 145. Shit, he muttered, examining the device. Not just explosives, a whole system with motion sensors. Too many wires. Too little time. 1 o'clock in his head, his pulse, his heart, everything merged into a roar. Blue? Red? I don't care. He pulled the blue one. The timer sped up. 0:45. Seriously. Jason gritted his teeth. Okay. You want to play? Go ahead. He pulled out a knife. Black or yellow? 0:30 voice in my ear. Wrong choice, Jason. But watch how beautifully it ends. Shut up, he yelled, cutting the yellow one. 0:10 the timer. Stopped. breathless. It was as if the world had gone quiet. But not the voice. You know what's worse? Martin's voice was close. It was a lie. Emily has the real thing. Can you make it? Her eyes widened immediately. Son of a bitch. Jason rushed back. Chase on the edge. Car. Slammed into the window of a cab. Get out. Pulled the driver out. The police will pay. Or not. Hit the gas. Tires squealing. Speeding up. My hands were shaking, not from fear. It was rage. Emily. She's in danger again. Yesterday, just a girl opening a score. Today, the target of a maniac. Phone in hand. Hang on, Emily. Hold on. The bridge. The old factory. It's a familiar place. That's where it all started. He flew out of the car, the door slamming shut, nearly flying off. Shadows. Movement. Someone was trying to leave from the back entrance. Stop. Jason yelled. A shot rang out. The bullet hit the concrete nearby. Jason ducked behind a column. His heart pounded. Inhale. Exhale. Spurt. A guard on his left. A blow to the caddy, he collapses. On the right, the other one. Straight ahead. Stairs. Up. There she is. The door swung open. Emily. Tied up. Behind her is a masked man. A gun at the girl's temple. One more step, and your brains are on the wall, he hissed. Jason's eyes were cold as ice. Let go. There's still a chance to get away. You don't understand. I am the end. Finger on the trigger. Moment. Jason threw the knife, cleanly. The enemy's hand twitched. The shot went through the ceiling. He jumped, pushed the enemy to the floor. A struggle. Punches. Screams. He went for a second weapon. Jason caught his arm, broke it. Tell me where Martin is. Too late. It starts tomorrow. Statham's eyes went at Emily. It's okay. I'm here. But outside the window, the sky exploded with lights. On a neighboring building, a huge projection. Moscow, New York, Paris, London. 1 hour to start. Emily's in tears. What is that? Jason stared at the timer. Martin didn't want revenge. He wanted chaos. All over the world. Shit, he whispered. It was only a warm-up.